2 million kina for districts and provinces. Rental debts to be settled.
Go down to each and every lease agreement.
And PM's 13 team lineup announced.
This is the National EMTV News with Mary Batulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Wednesday's news. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill is confident the supplementary budget will refocus government's development agenda. In a statement, Mr. O'Neill described the budget as necessary to reprioritise government expenditure. The Prime Minister says funding to districts will continue despite rumours of a decrease in DSIP and PSIP funding. Mr. O'Neill said with the 2017 fiscal year winding down, the government will provide 2 million kina for each district and province. The supplementary budget will be tabled in Parliament at the end of September. Treasurer and Deputy Prime Minister Charles Abel says the supplementary budget is necessary to help adjustments captured in the government's 100-day plan. Minister Abel says the supplementary budget will be tabled in Parliament this month and will focus on expenditures despite the current challenging global economic situation. Mr. Abel made this statement after a meeting with governors of provinces in Port Moresby this week.
The Treasurer met with political heads of the 22 provinces yesterday, outlining the 100-day plan and how it has progressed. Speaking after the meeting, Minister Abel says the supplementary budget will play a crucial role in adjusting government expenditures, revenue collection and how funding will be allocated to continue the delivery of services in districts and provinces.
We bring the 100-day plan with specific 25 points to bring that sort of focus and communicate that government is trying to be proactive and trying to narrow down to particular issues and deal with them in a systematic way.
Most governors raise concerns of the proposed slashing of PSIP, which they believe will have an impact on services in the province. Northern Governor Gary Jufa says the system needs an overhaul and hopes the government will not take sides.
I think there needs to be a greater effort at decentralizing a lot of the functions so that the provincial governments can be truly, they can take care of their own affairs without having to run back to national government and say, look, we need this and we need that. How do we look at our provinces and say what resources do we have that we can develop for the best interests of our nation and our provinces, our people, etc.
Despite in the opposition, East Civic Governor Alan Baird is grateful the government is making attempts to align decision makers to be proactive in pushing the 100-day plan forward. The Deputy Prime Minister says concerns by governors will be taken into consideration.
So we'll look into that, and we want to empower provincial governments to raise more of their own revenue. We want to make sure that the revenue that we are supposed to give them is given in a reasonable and timely manner as possible.
The 100-day plan is into its 26th day. The Treasurer says not all issues will be addressed, but for a start, key areas in cushioning the economy. He says part of it include temporary changes in the Fiscal Responsibility Act.
We will have to temporarily adjust the Fiscal Responsibility Act to allow the debt to GDP to breach the 30% ceiling. So the fiscal deficit ceiling will be, the fiscal debt to GDP ceiling will be allowed, we pushed out to 35% in as far as the allowance is concerned, whilst the actual debt to GDP is projected by the end of this year to go to 32%.
Jack Lopava Jr., National EMTV News.
Treasurer Charles Abel says the 2017 supplementary budget will capture outstanding government rentals. Mr. Abel said this was underfunded in the previous allocations, resulting in most government offices being locked out by property owners. Minister Abel said a review has started to screen all lease agreements.
We need to create that appropriation through a supplementary budget, enabling Treasury to authorise expenditure up to that level. So we've just had that sort of temporary issue, which will be addressed in additional funds allocated to office rental in the budget. That is why there is an audit underway as we speak into government rentals. Go down to each and every lease agreement and make sure that it's justified, fair rent is being paid, and if there's space available in existing government buildings to immediately or as soon as practical relocate those government offices into government space that we have available and save money.
Member for Mosby Northwest Semekere Marauta says claims made by an election rival that he went into hiding to avoid accepting an election petition are false. Northwest runner-up candidate Lohia Samuel filed an election petition in relation to alleged election discrepancies. However, Semekere has since come out to say that Samuel had failed to present the petition to him despite his availability. He has also questioned why Samuel did not present the petition earlier, as it was filed on the 5th of September. Semekere is also calling on the police hierarchy to investigate why police were involved in the serving of the court papers, as it is a civil matter and should be the direct responsibility of the candidate himself or his political party. Moving on, more training is needed in the country to successfully carry out a mass evacuation when disaster strikes. Assistant Director, Risk Management, Kaibu Kamnanaya from the National Disaster Office told MTV News stakeholders must collaborate and develop an effective response plan. He says Papua New Guinea is vulnerable to both natural and man-made disasters.
Papua New Guinea is prone to natural disasters caused by extreme weather conditions. This week, a mass evacuation natural disaster training is in progress in Port Moresby. According to organizers, this training is to build the current capacity and know-how between relevant stakeholders.
They have to say what are their capabilities, logistics also for manpower, or maybe related to health. And they look at what they have to do. Maybe related to PNG Red Cross side, what they have to do. That's what we're doing at the moment.
In the past 3 decades, the country has experienced some of the worst natural disasters. Mass evacuation has taken place, however, with no proper planning.
There's much effort that is required to be done to prepare local authorities in terms of how they can activate mass evacuation of population who are at risk in terms of being affected by natural phenomenon such as the cyclones that are prone here in case of an earthquake or in case of a volcanic eruption.
The workshop has also highlighted challenges and issues surrounding evacuations during disasters. Plans have been drafted, however, more constructive effort and training is needed throughout the country.
Looking at the early warning system, risk analysis, and then actions to actually give decision to evacuate, and then interventions that are done in the evacuation centers like shelter, and also other protection issues that need to be looked when people are in the evacuation centers, then the closure of the evacuation centers, how it is linked to recovery interventions, and various government departments that should take their role in terms of actually managing this whole process.
USAID is supporting IOM build PNG's capacity to train the participants.
You have to fix our people here. The real people, the real players, the real people on the ground. They are ones who do the work here. That's why we're concentrating.
The training will end on Friday. Jack Lapava Jr., National MTV News.
You're with National MTV News. We'll be back with more stories making headlines after these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back to the news. Kaboom MP and Fisheries Minister Patrick Bassa says he hopes to make the district self-reliant by the end of his term. Funding for a district hospital and high schools have been allocated. Once the infrastructure is built, it will reduce the need to travel to Ley or Finschhafen for basic services.
Without the district hospital, patients suffering from serious health problems are sent to Finschhafen or Ley for treatment. It's a complicated district to manage, primarily because of the lack of roads linking different local level government areas to the provincial centre. But Patrick Bassa is confident that those problems will be resolved soon.
It will take us maybe 2, 3 years, 4 years time. We should be more independent. Like we got a school which is fully equipped with power and library, computers, like that. We don't need to go to Wasu for Wasu Secondary School, for high school.
In 2015, Kaboom District suffered some of the worst drought conditions in Morobe. Food gardens dried up and people were pretty much left on their own. It is difficult to get important information and statistics out of a place like this, and one of the biggest challenges has been getting kids into high school.
We don't have a secondary school, we don't have a district hospital. All this has been budgeted for, taken care of. 1 million can be given to Kaboom District Hospital. 1 million can be given to Kaboom Secondary School, proposed that by next year should be start enrolling secondary school.
The district administration also hopes to build a road link, and this will greatly reduce the transport burden they currently face. Scott Whitey, National EMTV News, Ley.
The Morobe Council of Women is disputing the appointment of the new women's representative to the Provincial Assembly. The appointment was made yesterday by Governor Ginson Sanu in a Provincial Executive Council meeting. President of the Women's Council, Alevi Michael, said women's representatives are appointed to the Assembly by the Council according to the Women's Council Constitution.
Already, but much in pace, already na sit down in salo this board or this la assembly. Married by Machim na married by Botim. One plan leader by Machim.
According to la Constitution de mi plan, le section 62 le division 3 mitokol sem. Suppose le maki one plan representative le mama inside the provincial assembly or one plan board or educate the committee, it must come through law network the council of women only must boom now must maki one plan mama blongol na sali mi go inside the provincial assembly.
Pacific International Hospital has recorded that nearly 4,000 women in PNG are living with cancer. To help carry out awareness on women's cancers, they will be holding a Globathon this Sunday. Hosting coordinator of the Globathon, Dr. Mattia Sapuri, says the main aim of the awareness is to inform PNG mothers to be cancer conscious and to learn about the different types of cancers associated with women.
Emphasizing cancer prevention and early detection was Dr. Sapuri, who believes that early discovery of signs and symptoms of cancer in women can make a difference. He says as cancer continue to affect the lives of women in PNG, carrying awareness on disseminating information on cancer prevention for women is one way of informing women to be self-conscious. Girls and women between the ages of 9 and 26 are encouraged to take HPV shots, while older women should take regular self-examination and take a mammogram or breast cancer examination.
Our women in Papua New Guinea continue to have a problem with cervical cancer simply because a lot of them do not go to see their doctors or health worker to get a pap smear done. It's such a simple procedure. And in a hospital like Pacific International Hospital, where pap smear is done as a routine part of every woman that walks through our door.
Dr. Sapuri says PIH statistics show that nearly 4,000 women in PNG live with or have developed cancer.
So we as a hospital will continue to work with anybody, government, NGOs, to be able to address the issues of cancer in Papua New Guinea. And certainly for us in PIH, we're doing a lot of cancer surgery for women, not only just for women, but for men and children. It's just one of the modalities of treating cancer.
Dr. Sapuri stressed that teaching young school-aged girls about cancer at an early age is beneficial by being aware of what cancer is and how it can be prevented when detected.
Today you can undergo radiotherapy and chemotherapy without the quality of life being entirely destroyed. Rather, it requires tremendous amount of public involvement, government support, and support from professional organizations and doctors and the entire medical team. But you can today beat cancer.
On the mission to carry out awareness of women cancer in PNG, PIH, together with its partners, will host a Globathon this Sunday at 7 a.m., where a 5-kilometer walk will start from PIH to 3 Mile and back to PIH. This will be PNG's 5th year to hold the event. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
Western Highlands Governor Pius Wingti has warned the Provincial Education Board to improve their work ethic or face termination. Governor Wingti made these remarks at the swearing-in ceremony of the PEB committees in Mount Hagen recently. Mr. Wingti has identified education as one of the pillars of development in the province and wants education board members to be role models for students and teachers.
Wingti told the 19 board members who were sworn in on Monday that being a role model starts with refraining from smoking, chewing betel nut, drinking alcohol or gambling. He said this will add positive change to the society and reformation can take place. Wing T told the board members that their crucial job is to change people, especially teachers' mindsets of thinking and reasoning things so that children can get quality education.
The board's right. So that's why I'm told first, we don't like drinking long apple in Western Islands with people who occupy public positions. Or money only public position or office for government must no can want the money drinks type of system. That money smoke me like a type of system too. Money can boy me like a type of system too. The bad money you are going to poker machine in over type of system too.
These board members for the first time were given powers under the new Provincial Education Reform Act to appointing board members in all the schools in the province. This will avoid nepotism or appointing of drunkards, smokers, gamblers and betel nut chewers.
We, the challenge that he has given to us, both the board as well as the public servants.
The governor said this kind of reformation will set higher standard of education in the province. Those who were appointed as education board members were screened properly, and those who do not smoke, drink, gamble or chew were appointed to lead the education division in the province.
The next is, how do you change habits of people in those institutions who occupy? So that all people in place in good quality education, or people in give some role models, or people give something that they live for.
Vasina Tayama, National MTV News, Mount Hagen.
The Wasu Secondary School in Morabe's Tewai CSE district has resumed classes. The school was suspended on Monday last week following a fight amongst its students. The deputy school principal said the fight started after a student contesting the SRC elections stepped down because insulting comments were written on his poster. His supporters started a riot, which resulted in 4 students being injured.
3 ancillary staff houses of Wasu Secondary School were burned down last week Monday. On Tuesday morning last week, some students set fire to the boys' dormitory. However, the bystanders managed to put out the fire. The deputy school principal said the teachers held a meeting and decided to suspend classes because of the tension. The school resumed classes, but the tension is still high.
I'm sure the students are in class. Looking forward to the closing of school for Term 3 this Friday.
In Ley, students at Bumayong Secondary School were forced to close up early for the Term 3 break today by the Morabe Provincial Education Board. The decision came after a fight broke out amongst the students and the outsiders a few weeks ago. This has also disrupted the students who are sitting for the mock exams this week.
You know, the students, they are already disturbed psychologically. So we do not want to allow students to go on while in that kind of situation, which will affect their psychology and may not be able to do the test examination well.
Bugandi Secondary School in Ley will also close up early tomorrow for Term 3 break due to non-payment of electricity. Joram said there are subcommittees formed by the Provincial Education Board to deal with specific issues concerning education in the province.
And the first priority committee that we will call perhaps next week or so is the disciplinary committee to deal with these outstanding cases, to making sure that things go on well, dealing with students learning in the province.
Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Ley.
Yesterday marked the 23rd anniversary of the Tavurvur and volcanic eruptions that devastated Rabaul town on the 19th of September 1994. Over the weekend, men, women and children flocked into the volcanic town of Rabaul for an early celebration of the anniversary. It's an annual event that happens every September to celebrate the existence of Rabaul town amidst the continuous volcano adversities. Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
On the 19th of September 1994, as the country was coming to the end of the 19th independence celebrations, the Vurvur and Vulcan volcanoes erupted and devastated the town. For many who have lived on, it is only a stark reminder of what happened on the day And over the weekend, many came to Rabaul to commemorate the fateful event that destroyed their town and homes 23 years ago.
Earthquakes were getting more violent and closer together. We knew that something was going on, even though the poor old RVO, the Volcano Observatory, weren't allowed to tell us. We got the feeling that there was something major about to happen.
These pictures were taken a few hours before Tavurvur and Vulcan volcanoes erupted on the 19th of September 1994. It shows the final moments of Rabaul town before it was brought to its knees. And these were pictures taken a few days later after the eruptions subsided. This was the second time that the town fell victim to a volcanic eruption and the third time that it suffered extensive damages. No lives were lost as the people paid very close attention to the warnings issued by the Provincial Disaster Office on the days leading up to the eruptions.
The most amazing experience was the silence from going from a busy town overnight to a ghost town. I'll never forget that.
Today, Rabaul town, once known as the Pearl of the Pacific, is now the Pacific's Pompeii. The two volcanoes aren't giving off emissions and the vegetation has writhened, covering the barren land. But volcanologists say that doesn't make it any safer.
Yes, too small.
While the Rabaul people know all too well that the town and their villages won't be revived easily, many still returned and continue to live their lives as usual, oblivious to the recent past. Many of them have chosen not to live. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
The mining industry has been commended for continuing to drive safety as a priority. Mineral Resource Authority Managing Director Philip Samar made these remarks following the release of mine safety statistics for the second quarter of this year. Overall, the report indicates an improvement in key safety indicators with a 100% decrease in the fatality frequency rate, enabling man-hours to increase by 19% during this quarter when compared to the same period in 2016. Similarly, serious injury frequency rates have significantly decreased by 60%, total injury frequency rate also showing a considerable decrease of 29% compared to the same period in 2016. Mr. Samar says the industry's efforts have been equally complemented by the Mineral Resource Authority's dedicated Mines Inspectorate officers whose focus on increasing compliance is making a difference to ensure workers' health and safety is improved at every opportunity. At present, the mining industry directly employs more than 17,000 people, an increase of 12% from the same period last year, with females making up 11% of the total number of people employed at mine sites. And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3125 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.305, $0.3767 Australian dollars, €0.2503 euro and 33.66 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee and cocoa and copra closed lower. Crude oil is trading higher, palm oil closed unchanged and copper closed higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed 39 points higher, the ASX closed 4 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed 2 points lower. You're watching National EMTV News, stories making headlines overseas. When we return, stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, all eyes on Hurricane Maria as she is approaching Puerto Rico and the British Virgin Islands. The Category 5 storm caused widespread damage in Dominica overnight, bringing winds of up to 60 kilometers per hour.
She is a mighty force of nature, barreling in from the Atlantic. Hurricane Maria hit Guadeloupe hard. The French authorities talking of extremely violent winds, ordering people to stay indoors. In Martinique too, high winds and heavy rain as the Hurricane I passed within 30 miles. But perhaps the worst so far has been Dominica. Conditions so bad, hardly any pictures have emerged.
It's rough in Dominica, boss.
An unverified video posted while the lights went off.
The church roof on 7 days church.
Right until the last minute today, these shattered communities have been doing their best to prepare.
Because all the shelters are full. And this is a devastation. You notice I have on different shoes. I can't find any clothes. You notice how I'm dressed. We really need help here. because a lot of people are suffering.
The harsh reality here is that all the tons of debris can't be fixed down or made safe before the next hurricane is due to hit. Adding to the problems here, the drains are clogged with debris. More flooding seems inevitable.
So if we have a lot of rain, we're going to have some erosion and potential mudslides. So that's a big concern.
Everyone here is doing all they can to prepare. More than 20,000 British citizens facing their second potentially devastating hurricane in as many weeks.
More than 100 have been killed after a powerful earthquake struck central Mexico, toppling buildings in the capital, Mexico City. It happened less than 2 weeks after another deadly earthquake that claimed 90 lives.
Central Mexico now a scene of chaos as buildings crumble to the ground and concrete dust fills the air.
We just lost a building, Mexico City.
Temporary emergency centres set up in the middle of town to cater for the injured. Over 100 New Zealanders are currently registered on safe travel as being in Mexico. One Kiwi caught up in the disaster says the power was intense.
And it just didn't stop, and then it got stronger and stronger. And the woman whose house I'm staying in ran up to me and was like, "Come on, we've got to get outside, we've got to get outside." And it just shook for ages and ages. And the dogs were howling and barking. And then, of course, it did eventually stop, and then everyone started streaming out of their houses, and the dogs were barking and howling, and then the sirens started.
Even in a secure house, she feared for her life.
I have never been as scared as I was with this one. This one I was pretty frightened and actually shaking for quite a while afterwards.
No, Dios mío, Dios mío. The disaster comes on the anniversary of another deadly earthquake that claimed thousands of lives 32 years ago in 1985. September 19 will now be remembered for yet another dark day in Mexico's history.
In his debut address at the United Nations General Assembly, President Donald Trump threatened to destroy North Korea and claimed leader Kim Jong-un a man on a suicide mission. He also criticized the Iranian leadership, calling it corrupt and destabilizing.
Donald Trump is used to being the centre of attention, but rarely has the global community waited with such bated breath to hear from him at his first address to the UN General Assembly. He was more conciliatory, but he was still Donald Trump.
As President of the United States, I will always put America first.
He'd come to hug his friends and wallop US enemies, and none more so than North Korea and their leader Kim Jong-un, or Rocket Man as he called him. In the Assembly, North Korea's 2 allocated seats stood conspicuously empty.
The United States has great strength and patience. But if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea.
On the Iran nuclear deal, he hinted that America could still walk away from it. You haven't heard the last of this, he warned. But he ended up with a rallying cry for strong sovereign nations working together.
We will fight together, sacrifice together, and stand together for peace.
What will stand out from this address will be his comments on North Korea. But there is no simple military solution.
Well, thank you very much.
At a lunch after his outspoken address, the President gave the UN a qualified endorsement.
And let's give this as a toast to the potential, the great, great potential of the United Nations. Thank you all for being here. Thank you very much.
Whatever its perceived shortcomings, the best way to make progress with Pyongyang and on other issues will still be via this body. And the President seems to know it.
Here with National EMTV News, Trukai Sports is next. We'll have the details after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Highlands leg of the Oil Search Trophy Tour came to an end at Kutubu. The Paulberry Cup returned to Port Moresby after it visited Lae, Goroka, Hela and Southern Highlands provinces.
We are here at the Dowley Teachers College campus, a 40-minute drive out of Tari. Children and the rest of the community, in true Hela fashion, welcomed the Oil Search Trophy Tour team. The crowd was eager to listen to the prospects of the World Cup competition.
Honour for me to be here in front of you guys today. I would never have thought in my wildest dreams I would be in Hela Province with the Rugby League World Cup. And this was only made possible by Andrew Hill, CEO of Rugby League World Cup, and Mr. Peter Botten of Oil Search.
Let me take the comfort to acknowledge in the wisdom of Peter Bolton, your brody. Very welcome that they'll be playing. Your brody to Hela. Now you are very privileged to have them in here, please. Kia Pama.
The team then progressed through to the Moro Oil Search camp to sample a Kutubu welcome. This saw the cup brought in by Oil Search General Manager Peter Botten and NRL great Lottie Takiri to pass it to the Commercial and Marketing General Manager of Rugby World Cup.
Someone like myself who's lucky enough to travel up to Port Moresby on a regular basis to get up into the Highlands, to go to a place like Taree and obviously be welcomed in to the staff quarters here tonight is something that is a unique experience and will stay with me forever. So thank you very much for the opportunity, not only to travel around this great country with this trophy, but everyone here welcoming us into what is essentially your home. So thank you very much.
In order to take this trophy around, as you can see, it's a fairly impressive cup. So I want to thank Rowan and the team at the Rugby League World Cup for allowing the cup to tour PNG. It's something that most sports wouldn't do.
Harry Agimbari, National, EMTV Sports.
Still in Rugby League, the Prime Minister's starting 18-man team was named today by coach Stanley Tappen. The captain was also named today to lead the team out this weekend.
Coach Stanley Tappen named his 18-man squad.
Number 1 fullback will be Joe Joshua from the Tigers. Number 2 will be Brendan Gutano. The centres will be Stanford Talita and Junior Rao from the Wigmen. Number 5 will be Karo Kauno. 5'8" will be Jason Mission. Charlie will be number 7. Number 8 will be Junior Rob. And partnering him in the other prop forward will be Dilbert Isaac from the Gurias. Stanley Olo will start off at number 9. The second rows will be Tuvi Lepan and Kateo Otio. And to lock the scrum will be John Andy at number 13.
Vice Minister for Sports Wesley Ramini was given the opportunity of announcing the captain of the PNG PM's 13 team.
Captain of the team is Charlie Simon. He's from the Lae Snakes Tigers team. I think he was selected back in 2015, but maybe he didn't get a chance to play and showcase his talent. I think this Saturday we should be able to see him in action.
We now plan to talk to me on the speaker at the field. So, thank you, board of board blue PM Stadium. Give me the opportunity to lead him team go forward. So, we believe in the trust of Mangi Blumia to lead him all go forward Saturday game. Thank you.
Also assisting Stanley Tappen is Guria's coach Stephen Nightingale. He says they have belief in the team and are confident they will do well.
We have belief. Our coaching staff have belief in these boys. At the end of the day, we've got to play rugby. We're not going to be there to spectate. So these boys believe that business on the field first, and then we can worry about who they are after the game.
Stanley Olo, who has been named in the hooker position, will be making his debut this weekend, and he says he will do his best.
We played many games in this year Cup, and we expected that they're the best side coming along, but we try our best, and we compete for the Saturday's game.
The Prime Minister's 13th match celebrates the long history between Papua New Guinea and Australia. PNG RFL Chairman Sandy Saka says it is also used to spread the word to stop violence against women in PNG. He added, with the 18-man team named today, PNG RFL is confident the boys will do well.
For the Prime Minister's 13, congratulations. The PNG RFL and the country has full confidence in the team that has been assembled. We know that they will do country proud come Saturday against the Australian PM13 squad.
National Gaming Control Board CEO Imelda Agon was present at the occasion and says they are glad to be part of rugby league in PNG.
For us, our sponsorship goes towards that, and we believe that it will strengthen the relationship that Papua New Guinea has with Australia.
Though Kato Otio has been named in the team, he will not be able to play after he was not cleared by the medical team. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
Commonwealth and Pacific Games champion Dikatoa is in the mix of the women's 53 category on day 4 of the Asian Games in Turkmenistan. Not the easiest of starts, although Toa has promised to do her best for PNG.
PNG champion Dikatoa had been hoping to use IMAG 2017 as a platform in her preparations for next year's Commonwealth Games. The Commonwealth gold medalist would face stiff competition in the women's 53 kilogram category. 74 kgs in her first attempt in the snatch, followed by a confident 78 in her second. But a stumble in her attempt to hit 81 was a disappointment, falling short of her Oceania record.
Yeah, well, I needed that to equal the snatch I did in Gold Coast. And I needed that to get a good total with the clean and jerk. But unfortunately, things like that happen.
In the clean and jerk, however, Toa would perform better, 100 kilograms on her first and 104 in her second, laying the platform for her third age-stirring 108 kilogram lift.
Yeah, after I did 104 kilograms, my coach approached me and said, we need this no matter what. And I said, yeah, I'm confident enough to do it. And yeah, and I needed that. I knew within myself that I needed that. And yes, and I did it. And if I had got 81, I would have been a really good position, you know, with 191 total, I guess.
The day before, sister Thelma Toa also experienced her debut in the Asian regional stage.
A great experience for me, competing with the Asians. Yeah, so it's an honor and great privilege for me.
Now, later on tonight, 27-year-old Moriah Barrow will have his shot in the men's 62 kilogram category. But both Toa sisters, along with the rest of the Team PNG contingent, are doing well here in Turkmenistan. And also on Friday, we have the big one with PNG champion, Commonwealth champion Stephen Curry also having his shot. Jeremy Moggy, National TV Sports, Turkmenistan.
Don't go anywhere, we have more of Trukai Sports after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Still in Rugby League, the PNG Hunters preparations for the Queensland Intra Super Cup Grand Final have gone well so far. The final squad to take on the Sunshine Coast Falcons were named yesterday by coach Michael Marum.
With the grand final in a few days' time, Marum says the team has been working hard at training.
You know, been a good week so far. You know, we just finished off a good session here, so you know everyone's looking forward to the game against the Falcons on Sunday. Yeah.
Since the inclusion of the Hunters in the ISC, they have played the Falcons 8 times. They've lost 4 and have won 4. Maroon says the Falcons have many experienced players and are a big side, but they remain positive. Maroon has stuck with the same team that beat the Redcliffe Dolphins in the major semi-final.
Might be 1 or 2 changes before game day. We have a captain's run at the AS Group College there on Saturday. So yeah, no, but you know, we still have another 2 sessions before we leave here.
The Hunters' only concern is vice-captain Wellington Albert, who still has some niggling injuries from the Redcliffe match.
Hoping to get into the starting team or the 17, but that will be that decision will be made after captain's run maybe, or game day warm-up at Suncorp Sunday.
Captain Aseboa says the boys are psyched and looking forward to the big game on Sunday.
Camp is, the feeling is great. The boys really deserve a rest after the good performance that major semi. So the boys, had a rest last week, so the body, fresh for the big one.
Same sentiments were shared by Vice Captain Wellington Albert.
Proud of the effort that we put in this far, and we had a really hard preseason, not hard but tough preseason this year, and I think our hard work has been paid off, so I'm really proud of the boys and myself as well, and the coaching staff.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
And that wraps up Trukai Sports. We'll have for you the weather details when we come back. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
A look at the weather for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Mostly fine for Port Moresby, cloudy periods for Daru and Popondetta. Mostly fine as well for Alota, cloudy with some showers for Kerema. To the Momasa region, cloudy periods in Ley and Wau, mostly fine for Medang and Wewak, cloudy with some showers expected for Vanimore. To the New Guinea Islands region, cloudy with some showers expected in Lorengau, Kavieng and Buka, partly cloudy for Kimbe, becoming cloudy for Kokopo and Rabaul. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centers can expect cloudy weather over the next 24 hours.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
And that's how it is for today, Wednesday, September the 20th, 2017. On behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.